I think there's been a shift within the community to over-analyzing things because of that perception of the more information you give, the more scientific you are, therefore the more authority you have and more authentic you are. The danger is that you have to do that with a balance. You have to be able to say, these are the details, but when we do it for real, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be minus that. Together.
Do you see, like, aside from yourself, do you see other proponents within the Wing Chun community that are trying to approach Wing Chun scientifically and analyze it and think how does this relate to what kind of things I could or possibly deal with in this day and age? Because I see that sort of thing with karate, with like UK's Ian Abernathy with the British Karate Association and everything.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen that. I've seen this stuff. Yeah. Right. Well, the problem, you've hit the nail on the head. Therein lies the problem, because Wing Chun is meant to be a very scientific, very analytical approach, and it is. It really is. The problem is, and I'm going to say something controversial, but I don't care anymore. So I'll say it.
Okay.
And this was reinforced to me by recently. Actually, I was having a conversation, and one of the things was said to me was that the Chinese generally respect, and rightly so, people with a lot of knowledge. So if you are a teacher, teachers are highly respected in China. I don't know if it's the same in Japan, but they have a lot of respect for teaching. And rightly so, I absolutely agree. You should respect the people that are educating your children, and you should have respect for people that are educating you.
Yeah.
You should. So what has happened as an extension of that in the West, we're talking about, that effect has been over-exaggerated. So it's seen more that the more educated you are in terms of the way you give the information, the more complex it is, the more scientific it is, the more highly regarded you are. So we have that within the Wing Chun community. It's already regarded, sometimes overanalyzed. That's the danger, because then you get people arguing, well, my tan sao's half a centimeter out. It can't be right. They literally go to that degree. In a real fight or sparring, it doesn't matter whether you're
not going to be thinking that. You're not going to care about it at that point.
Exactly. At that point, it's whether you're getting hit or not get hit, right? So I think there's been a shift within the community to over-analyzing things because of that perception of the more information you give, the more scientific you are, therefore the more authority you have and more authentic you are. The danger is that you have to do that with a balance. You have to be able to say, these are the details, but when we do it for real, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be minus that. And that's fine. I think if you've got a good balance presenting information, that's fine. In answering your question, we already have established a good basis that we are, as a community, very scientific and very, I won't say forward thinking, but present thinking, I'm going to say. The problem is within the community, the guys that do step out and try to apply Wing Chun outside of the community, as in MMA or combat arts and so on, they get shouted down as not being Wing Chun practitioners. Well, you can't possibly be doing Wing Chun because you're going in an MMA fight. Well, wait a minute. If you're preparing someone for an MMA fight, they're not going to look like they do Wing Chun, because they're going into an MMA ring and there's certain rules that I'm not talking about physical rules, because this is where another fallback on traditional martial arts, and almost certainly Wing Chun, what they'll say is, well, we don't train for sports because there's no rules in a street fight, and that means I can do whatever I want. Well, the problem, there's a big hole in that thinking, because if you get into a real street fight there's no guarantee that I could stick my fingers in your eyes. And there's also a high likelihood that you could stick your fingers in my eyes too. Because anything I can do to you that's nasty, someone else can do on top of their skill set. So the skill set that you learn when you do competitive fighting is you learn distance judgment, you learn timing, you learn real movement, you learn what it's like to really be hit. You learn what it's like to really be hit and have to recover and hit someone back. You also learn the mindset, the psychological mindset that you're exhausted, you're tired, someone's punching your face in, you're winded, you know, you have to survive. You know, all of these things you only learn when you've got another human being in front of you that's actually hitting you and you have to hit them back. Now, when we train traditional martial arts,
very rare to have that.
You pull back a certain degree, and if you're training, like for example in Wing Chun, we do lots of throat strikes, we elbow and so on. You know, let's talk about the throat. I can't possibly chop you in the throat for real, because if I do, I'm going to really injure you.
Asphyxiation.
So although I never apply the strike, I don't know what it's like to receive the strike, and therefore that has a real effect on my own fighting mindset. It is completely different. So apart from not learning the physical attributes that are universal to all styles of martial arts, timing, distance control, timing and distance are the most important characteristics of any fighting style, including Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Timing is essential, right? So it doesn't matter what you do, whether it be, you know, Wing Chun, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, Sandal, whatever you're doing, these are universal skills. The problem with the mindset of traditional Wing Chun practitioners, if you want to call them that, we can't go into these fields because it's going to water down the style. It doesn't water down the style. It's like me having a car and then changing the putting seat covers on the inside of the car. It hasn't changed the car. All I've done is I've put covers on the inside of my car.
It's enhanced it just a little bit.
All I've done is it still functions the same. It still looks the same. It still does the same. You know, maybe that's not a great analogy, but what I'm trying to say is you can still have the traditional aspects. You can still train the traditional way, but if you want to fight outside of the box, you want to go into an MMA, you have to learn how to ground fight. You have to learn how to box. You have to learn how to kick. You can still take the concepts of the art and apply it in that context. Of course you can. You know, the idea of learning to move efficiently, what I said earlier about not drawing your hands back, all of these are already being done in combat arts anyway. It's the mainstay of Wing Chun. You just don't have to try to mimic what you see in a Yip Man movie. It's not about, you know, what it looks like. It's about how it functions.